You. Yeah, so pretty technical presentation from Monad. I'll keep it a little bit more memey, but this like gets a little bit technical at the end. Um, and I want to talk about aggregation. Uh, I'm pretty sure quite a few of you would have heard about aggregation already by now. But this presentation that we just saw from the Monad team uh, is very relevant for the discussion that I'm going to do now. So basically, this is basically a small meme that we have around like this. Like the blockchain starts from being monolithic, like that means a single blockchain where all the users, the architecture is expecting all the user transactions in one place. Modular is like where you have multiple blockchains, app chains, and that is really great because there are so many blockchains where the transactions can happen and each app can have their own app chains. But at the end, there's a lot of fragmentation. So for Polygon, and our logo also says that is actually the quest for infinity. Like, what do I mean by that? So for us, it has been very, very clear, and it's a relentless mission from our side, is that we want a Web3 or like internet scale infra for Web3, right? And and I'll explain like why I might mean to say that. Like before that, like let me say this, that when we talk about the scalability of blockchains, any blockchain, it is any blockchain, and they are like really amazing, like the what Monad team is doing. Solana has done like a lot with the parallel VMs, and there are even more interesting projects coming in which are doing parallel execution and all that. But whatever happens in all of these blockchains, individual blockchain architectures, when we always see that there is a TPS which is like a constant number that we are saying, okay, like 10,000 TPS or maybe like 50,000 TPS, 100,000 TPS. There are claims like 150,000 TPS on one chain. Like there are already some discussions and some architectures are talking about that. And the point I'm trying to make here is that like whatever, like when we were in 2020, we were launching Polygon POS, which is doing like 200, 250 TPS. At peak times can do like maybe 500 TPS and all that. And in 2020, that was like a big deal. Like, oh, from Ethereum and Bitcoin, 13 TPS to this 200, 500 TPS, gas fees is super cheap. And then, it was very exciting. But then as more capacity comes, more users come into the space, and then suddenly that TPS is not good enough, right? Like even now today, Polygon POS is like probably has roughly 1.2 million. It is like recently, it is like the highest. Compared to that, for example, Ethereum has 330K daily active addresses. Polygon POS has like 1.2 million daily active addresses, right? And so, and this is like, where these addresses are paying around 35 to 40 million dollar of $30 million dollars in gas fees. So these are not like some gamed numbers and all that. This is like the most used blockchain we're talking about. I think right now the most popular application that you guys see is Polymarket. It's also built on Polygon, Reddit, and many other applications also built on Polygon. In DeFi, it's like 1.1B, 1.1B TPS and all that. So, but the point is, this TPS, even the same thing happened with Solana, 3,500 TPS. And then, recently we saw like when the activity, meme coin activity was very high, a lot of, transaction failures and all those things started happening. And, these things continue to happen. The point is, all of these chains, all of the architectures have some constant number n, which is we are saying that, okay, this is the TPS we will achieve. But the question is that enough? If a chain achieves 100,000 TPS, and the Web3 goes mainstream, is that TPS enough? No, right? Like it's a shared TPS. All these shared blockchains, they have shared TPS. It is still not enough for a mainstream viral application which might have 10 million users on one single chain. And each user doing 5, 10 transactions, meaning like 50 million transactions on the chain every day, not tenable. So how do we prepare Web3 infra for internet scale adoption? And that is what I was talking about, is the mission of Polygon. There are like a lot of indirect paths to that, but we are like shooting directly for that mission, and that's what we are trying to do. So what are the features you need for having an internet scale Web3 infra? It should have two things. One is practically infinite TPS. And what do I mean by that? Like in Web 2, if you see, Web 2 is practically infinitely scalable. What I mean by that is, I think there are around even only on only on iOS and Android, there are around 7 million applications. And I think every day there is some statistics. I'm not fully getting that number, but I think like it's around like maybe 5,000 to 10,000 new apps launch every day on mobile apps. And I'm not even talking about web apps here. I'm talking only about mobile apps. And so it's practically infinite TPS, infinite amount of capacity on internet. Like I'm saying practically for the software. Of course, like there are optical fiber lines and they have like fixed amount of throughputs and all that. But for applications, I'm saying. And secondly, there is no fragmentation. Like when you are using internet today, you don't have to, it's not like you are in Brussels, so you have to log into Brussels internet and only then you can access. You just get the internet from any telecom provider and now you can access the entire internet from one place. This was not the case if we go 20 years back, and it is exactly the case today. When you are on one particular blockchain and you want to use an application on the other blockchain, you have to move your funds, bridge your funds to that blockchain, you have to buy the gas token, then you can do some transactions if you want to interact on chain. So the fragmentation is a very big issue. And these two things we need to counter if we want to have an internet scale Web3 infra. And so how we think that this can be achieved? We think that, and that's why I was saying that, you know, it's very relevant in the conversation of like what Monad and teams are doing really great, amazing parallel TPS on one single chain. But we are saying is that we can have 1 million TPS in next maybe 12 to 18 months. I'm saying we will have the entire blockchain space should have the capacity to go to 1 billion TPS, 2 billion TPS, 10 billion. I don't, like, the number cannot be a fixed number. As more applications will grow, more and more app builders come into the space, they should be able to build applications which can scale to 100 million users. Like, why I say 100 million users? Because in the tech space, if any particular industry crosses 100 million users, that means it has crossed the global mainstream. So, and my personal, mission is that, if I can see the day where all the on-chain applications together have 100 million users, daily active users. So, but for that you need like no amount of TPS on any single chain is enough. So that's why, we have Ag Layer. What is Ag Layer? Ag Layer is basically a neutral decentralized service, and that is the main product of Polygon. That neutral decentralized service which allows asynchronous and synchronous interoperability between these chains and also unifies liquidity. What I mean by that is that, in the previous diagram you saw that on Ag Layer, these are all sovereign chains. This includes many layer ones, like Near blockchain is connecting into it. Recently, Ronin announced that they will be connecting into it. Recently, yesterday, Ton, blockchain ecosystem, a team backed by the Ton ecosystem, they also announced that they are launching a, EVM chain, which will be connected into Ton ecosystem, but connected via Ag Layer. So they are connected across the chains. So the point I'm trying to make here is that with this kind of you see the aggregation layer, it's basically blockchain of blockchains. The Ag Layer is basically blockchain of blockchains. And any sovereign chain can connect into it. They can be, even Monad can connect into it, other layer ones can connect into it, and can utilize this cross-chain, liquidity and all that. But you might think, is this a bridge? But actually, no, it's not really a bridge. It's the infrastructure layer on top of which the topmost bridges in the industry currently are building. But for the user experience, any chain which is properly connected to the Ag Layer, when I say that it has unified liquidity, it has all the smart contracts mapped between each other across the chains. So what that means is that if you have USDC on any of these chains, on any one of these, let's say 100 chains, 1,000 chains that will be connected to it, for you, you feel like you are on one single chain. You go to any application, any other chain, you just connect with your wallet, and now you are doing the transactions, and your transactions are going seamlessly. You don't even know as a user what is happening. And this happens today on the internet, right? When you go to, let's say, Google News or some of these web pages, any web page, by the way, you open, that web page is actually pulling in the information from various different sources, like various different websites. Similarly, it should be possible for blockchains that you are doing a transaction, a smart contract interaction. It is pulling in the information, it is pulling in the value. The current internet, Web 2 internet is internet of value. This internet, the current Web 2 internet is internet of data, internet of information. Web 3 is internet of value. So ideally, you should be able to, your application should be able to pull in the value, interact the value across multiple chains. And as a user, I should not be knowing where my value stands, where my USDC, USDT stands, right? I'm just doing my transaction. Whatever coin is being used in the background, that's a detail for advanced users. So that's the point of Ag layer, and as I mentioned, that's a neutral, decentralized service where any chain can connect into it. I will go further also, like I already mentioned, this provides a shared bridge with a safety guarantee across the chains, provides low latency interoperability, but the most important thing is Ag layer for the application builder does not seek rent. So like for example, Ag layer does not have any, it's a permissionless chain, permissionless layer. It's not even a chain, it's not a blockchain. Any chain can connect into it, and any app chain can connect into it, and it does not expect the revenue to be shared with the Ag layer. So, they don't need to share the sequencer revenue, the value, the 100% of the value can remain with the chains that are building. So that's why I said, like, applications like, Monad and or like the parallel, VMs or parallel EVMs, parallel VMs, and different blockchains, layer 1, layer 2 can use this while while not leaking any value out of them. That's a very important thing. Like when we talk to a lot of app chains, nobody wants to, no app chain wants to share their revenue or like, be a part of or be a subsystem to another system. And that's why like we designed Ag layer in a way that where there is a service, it's a service any chain can use while maintaining their full sovereignty. And that is one of the most important advantages of Ag layer. And our goal is, and Ag layer is basically as a pay-as-you-go service. So all the chains that are connected to it, they can actually pay as they go. Like, pay as they go means as faster, like they can pay as much they want to pay depending upon how much fast interoperability they want and how much fast Ethereum settlement, if they are using Ethereum as settlement, they want. So it's a pay-as-you-go service, does not expect rent. Some chains can, have one transaction a day going into the Ag layer and it is connected into other chains once a day, or you can have every 5 seconds. It completely depends on the chains. So some of the other benefits are like, as I already said that, native tokens for all these apps, those native tokens connected with each other without any liquidity sharing. Many of you guys who use bridges these days, you would know that in order to transfer from one chain to another, the bridge needs to maintain liquidity on both sides. So if you're transferring, let's say, Solana USDT to Polygon POS USDT or Arbitrum USDT to Polygon USDT, that bridge is maintaining liquidity on both sides because those tokens are not the same tokens. But with Ag layer, for the chains where the tokens are mapped with each other, because Ag layer is that safety layer, is providing the safety layer, those tokens could simply mint and burn from one place to another. So, you have infinite liquidity flowing from one chain to another. I already mentioned like safe cross-chain transactions. There are multiple other, like, it's not only about tokens, it can be about a lot of like arbitrary message passing, which means smart contract composability. So I am on OKX. You guys would know, like right now already, like there's OKX chain, Polygon ZK VM, and a few other chains connected into the ecosystem. You are on, let's say, very soon, like now Polygon POS gets connected into it. You could actually swap for a transaction, which is, let's say you are doing a DEX transaction, converting your ETH into USDT, and with same USDT, in the same transaction, you're buying NFT on some other chain. And the developers, the front-end developers will be able to build this UI bindings. And for the end user, it doesn't really, they don't know like what, they are just clicking a button. They know somewhere on these chains, my money is lying and my transaction will go through. The bridge and call functionality that we talk about is also one similar functionality which is used by the developers that, in one transaction, you are bridging from one chain to another in the background. User doesn't even know. and you are calling some function on the other side. One other advantage of this could be, very interesting advantage, is that, for the exchanges, if in the whole ecosystem one chain is connected into the exchanges, all the other chains are automatically connected, because meaning that the users can directly withdraw from, let's say exchange like Binance to any of these chains, right? So they just provided Binance provides that functionality that, okay, there is a chain XYZ. I say I want to withdraw my USDC into XYZ chain, and I simply withdraw. And when Binance executes the withdraw transaction, they just do bridge and call, and it automatically goes to there. And for a lot of teams, it is a very big problem because their end users, most of the chains exchanges don't connect natively. So that's a very big problem for chains to invite liquidity into their ecosystem. So that functionality also helps that. And all of this actually results in one unified liquidity layer. These are some of the technical components. I think I don't want to go too deep into that, but basically, as you can see, that the middle section is the AG layer. And okay, so middle section is the AG layer, which has what we call chain level accounting. We call it pessimistic proof. There's a new kind of proof that we have come up, and then it and then you have proof aggregation. And another thing, for technical enthusiasts, the pessimistic proof is actually a very interesting innovation that the team has done. That for this, you don't need full execution proofs from any chain. So if there is a chain, they don't need to have full ZK proofs. They can just they can start, for connecting into AG layer, they can start with a simple pessimistic proof, which is basically just a proof of your state transitions, which is a much cheaper proof, and you can connect into the AG layer. And later on, you can decide that, okay, I want to have full execution proofs, like ZK proofs of my chain onto Ethereum, and so that all the chains can fully trust any incoming transactions and all that from for my chain, and users can do that. And already there are big heavyweights joining into this ecosystem. Immutable, largest gaming ecosystem. Polygon POS itself is one of the largest gaming ecosystem. Very soon, other ones like Ronin's and all other of the world are also right now dabbling with it and expecting to launch, and OKX and all that. So these chains are there, and at the bottom there is Ethereum, which is the settlement layer, which is being used as a settlement layer. And chains can choose whether they want which kind of settlement chain they want to use. So at the end, as I was saying, that the objective for this, for us is that to scale Web3 infra to the scale of internet. For that, we need unlimited scalability and unified liquidity. And so AG layer plus Polygon CDK, which is Polygon CDK means you can replace it with any stack. Hopefully this will be supporting many different kind of stacks. We have some very interesting projects coming in Ethereum space. I think Mega ETH is one of them. There are other parallel EVM, single sequencer, chains are there. I think Shoaib is there, so that's why shout out to Mega ETH also. They are doing some amazing work on the parallel EVMs. And so all of these chains are coming in, and enterprises will be able to use projects like Mega ETH and these VMs where they can do hundreds of thousands of TPS, because we have faced this. In the last cycle, you saw Instagram launching NFTs, and the NFT minting was on Polygon PS chain only. And we could clearly see there was no blockchain available. And even then, they were saying for next 5 years, they didn't think that there is any blockchain infra available which can work at the scale of Instagram. They were even if we open up to the smallest country where Instagram is popular, smallest country in the world, that will consume your entire blockchain's bandwidth if they start minting tokens, right? So with these kind of new innovations, the enterprises can have, if enterprises can have these 40,000, 50,000 TPS chains, and they are also, because these will be single sequencer chains running on beefy machines, and then they can be connected into the mainstream Web3, all of them via something like AG layer. We believe that is kind of the end game architecture. I can't tell you that, obviously I'm biased from Polygon, that, I can't tell you that this Polygon AG layer is the end architecture. But one thing I can 100% tell you is that the end game architecture of Web3 infra is going to look something like this. and we have started that. We can already see a lot of projects are getting inspired. Some of them like outright like directly building something very similar, and you will see more and more projects doing it. So that's why I'm saying like Ag layer plus Polygon CDK makes it like unlimited scalability, unified liquidity. That's all.